Good morning, New York. Right outside of Grand Central Terminal here. Heading down to Park Avenue today. We're going to be doing some filming locations. That's right, from Joe Dante's Gremlins to the new batch. Now, let's take a closer look. The one thing I did love is they showed Times Square and the Coca-Cola area, and you can see Clamp Chinatown Center was coming soon. A little foreshadowing there. That's cool that they actually showed Times Square here in Gremlins. Just this little Coca-Cola area. And also right over here is where they crossed over the street when they were heading to work. The chorus line was right there in Burger King. And they make it seem like they work right over here. Now we first see Billy and Kate crossing the street right here in front of Grand Central Station. They would have been crossing right over here and making their way over to Clamp Industries, which was this building here. 101 Park Ave. That's where all the action took place. But this is where they're walking at the beginning of the film. From Times Square, which is quite a trek from over here. That's how I got over here. So yeah, this is like the best I can do on the wide shot they have. And they have a hot dog stand vendor there. You can see the Clamp logo. And everyone's standing out in the courtyard. I'm gonna head over there now. Show you where they had the Clamp little symbol out here and all the scenes that took place. Majority of the film took place at this building. Right here would have been the camera's view looking up. 6 weeks later is what it said. And then right here you can see the other side of the Clamp logo. There used to be like a water tower on top of the building to the right, but it's gone. And legit right here is where Clamp would have been. I wonder if they like built it, you know, to block that little fountain there. But this is where it was. Regency Trade Center and Retail Concourse. Now when they walked up, they would have tried to go through these doors over here. These were the doors. The guy pushes Kate out of the way and runs in. Now later on in the film, they had a group up here because they knew all this crazy stuff was happening down here. Murray was down here. He was played by Dick Miller. And Microwave with Marge, who we all know, she's been in so many different films. But they were right here. You can see Murray looking at Microwave with Marge. She had a show inside. And then Murray runs over here because he sees the fireman with the hose about to blast this place with some fire. And he warns him, do not get them wet. And that took place right over here. You can see the Clamp logo. But then Murray kind of figures it out. And he's grabbing his wife's face right here as well. I love it. I love Dick Miller, who plays Murray. He was in the first Gremlins. But this is a wacky movie. A lot of people don't really care for it. I like it. I really do. I think it's just as wacky as the first Gremlins, but I can't believe this is Clamp. I'm right out front. And right over here is where Clamp uses his secret escape and comes out of the ground. We're going to try and find where that was. And this is where it would have been. they would have used this manhole right here, and the plant would have come up out of the ground, and that's how Clamp got out of his secret hiding spot. And you can see the other sewer right there to the right as the van sits there from the TV station. It's WWOR-TV, Channel 9. They were parked right here. And you can actually see this street pole in that shot as well. As when he came out, it was a shot right about here with that building in the background. So cool. That's also when Murray looks over and gets the idea of how to get into the building. He sees Clamp making his escape right over there. Yeah, Murray would have made his decision to go over and get in the building. He was standing more or less in this area. You can see the police car to the right. So Murray decides to go back over and get into the secret entryway from Clamp. So he walks over here and he sees Clamp talking and having an interview with all these reporters who are trying to figure out what's going on. So yeah, Murray would have walked over here, and right here is the shot of him going down. They actually put him in that little sewer. That's so wild. And right over here, this was the shot when they had the cranes lifting up the Scrim to make it look like it's at night. And that was the idea, to make the Gremlins think that it was nighttime out here. And they had the big Scrim right in front of the building. And you can see this building straight ahead behind Clamp. And I believe this guy was one of the police officers who was helping out. I know him from Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Now at the very beginning of the film, they take place like in Koreatown almost, but they shot a lot of it at the Warner Brothers backlot in Burbank. But it feels like this is where you would go and get a Mogwai. And this is where Billy went to jail. The police department, City of New York, the 23rd Precinct. Right here is where they had the van, the NYPD van that was dropping off all the mimes. And the mimes were hopping out, and Billy would have been walking right out that door there. A shot right here in front of this window, and they had the New York City Police Department badge sticker. And then they ran across the street here and back to Clamp, the Clamp Tower, which is a ways from here. And that's where we're going. If they ran about 20 minutes. But I always thought this looked like something out of Warner Brothers, like Roger Rabbit. You know what I mean? Look at that old NYPD sign there. It says City of New York Robbery Squad. This is totally Gremlins vibe. But yeah, they would have had the bus right here, and the mimes would have been getting out here if you're looking at their perspective and going in. Billy and Kate would have walked out right there. Joe Dante and the team would have been set up right here filming, which is a very busy, congested area. Now we are heading over to the Cathedral. In the film, Sheila says, "Oh, Murray, the Cathedral of Ava Marie." It's actually St. Patrick's the Cathedral here in New York. But they didn't film many of the scenes there. It was all at Warner Brothers, once again. But they did superimpose some stuff. We're still gonna match it up over here. But this is where the gremlin turns into a gargoyle, just into cement. Just gotta keep walking down the avenue here. We're almost there. So in the movie, this is where they're supposed to be hanging out on this side, but it was in Warner Brothers on the back lot where they shot this, where we're standing, and they superimposed certain areas of this cathedral in the film. But this is where the gremlin would have flown down to Murray, and he was running and trying to fight it off, and then he would have, in the movie, gone down this way, and this is where the cement accident would have happened. And when it flew back up, it would have turned to a cement stone. But that's not it. They did not film on this sidewalk. They just superimposed everything. And what they did was they filmed the front of the cathedral here. And then they superimposed it to make you think that they're standing on that side of the street and not the main entrance area. Because if you look at this, there's no way they're standing here. It doesn't even match up. The best way it kind of looks is like they're there on Saks Fifth Avenue. But right here is where Murray and Sheila were standing. And then if you look up, right up there, that's where they superimposed the gremlin flying down. That's insane. I guess they just set a second unit over here to film all this, and then superimposed everything, probably out at Warner Brothers. But I had to show this because it is featured in the movie. There he is, the naked cowboy, after all these years. After all these years. And right here is where the very ending of the film all takes place. Out front, you can see Murray and his wife and Microwave with Marge all standing out here as Billy and Kate walk out of the front door. And then right here is where he says, "We'll be with you in just a minute," because they're having a conversation. And they would have walked this way. And that's the end of Gremlins 2. I can't believe it. It all took place right out here in front of Clamp, the building, which is at 101 Park Ave if you ever want to come down here to New York and see it. Amazing. I can't believe it. Gremlins 2. What a fun movie. I'm glad I got to show these locations. A lot of them are, like I said, they were all taken out front here of this building. But just the fact that Joe Dante chose this area, which is a busy area, but when you think about filming, they could easily set this stuff up right here in this courtyard, film the whole thing out front. I love doing filming locations, and I'm super glad we got to do this. I'll see you guys on the next adventure, where Billy and I actually take Gizmo to Times Square and have him try a hot dog. Before midnight, though. I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, stay weird. Goodbye.